All right, let's finish out the last two turns of Barbarossa Army Group South from GMT. We played the 6 turn scenario 3, and it ended as a German victory with 8 victory points. And I will tell you that the victory points all came from, let's see, 6 of them came from taking victory objectives, and 2 came from one mandated Soviet counterattack that did not take place after the Germans, after the Germans had taken a victory location. So they got 2 points additional. Interesting, because we had mud storm on the last turn. So the last 2 turns were mud and then mud storm. So it kind of slowed things down a little bit. But the Romanian units, Romanian, Hungarian, I can't remember what I called them last time. You're Romanian. But they held on with a little help from the Germans there. That mountain unit held on to that objective. That's a strange objective. It kind of doesn't fit with the rest of them. And they hung on to this one right here. So we tried to attack them, and that was a fail. They ended up with, I think, a step loss or something over there. So they hung on to that one. They did tighten up right there, like I said. I was going to move them back and have them strengthen their lines, shorten their lines a little bit. So that kind of helped. But there's really no reason for the Germans to push there anyhow. Lvov. No, wasn't going to get in there anytime soon. I would have needed some more turns for that. And never needed to go out here and take that. Was headed down that way, probably wouldn't have gotten the fight down there. Hung on to the objective up here. And of course we cleared out everything up here. I could have just took some panzer divisions and just gone off the map over here, and probably would have easily kept them in supply. That would give me more victory points, but I never got there. Let's see. So they cleared all the way across the map in the middle here. Held on to that objective right there. What is that, Drobno? No, what is that town right there? That is Brody, which would have been Drobno. So, and that was the objective where I was looking at the staff the maps from the general staff over at the Library of Congress. Von Rundstedt's panzers were there. I think it was the 11th Panzer. Was there in like just a little more than 2 days. So they pushed really hard. I wasn't quite that fortunate, but I did get there and took it. It's kind of hard for the Soviets to put up a really, really good defense initially, even though you do have, more troops in this area than North and South or North and Center did. And your defenses don't have to be super, super strong. Like I say, a couple points here and there can, put it this way, the overrun was I had very minimal of those for the Panzer Division. I think I might have had 2 of them that worked. So, and there's not much, no major terrain benefits in this. You do get some pluses. And the simple pluses to the die roll modifiers, like I say, you want to roll low if you're attacking. So any pluses to the die roll can throw you off, because most of your really, really good results from like 5 to 1 down are at die rolls of less than 5. So you start getting pluses. You start getting, that little odd thing where I remember like in playing the old Terrible Swift Sword, you might have a 6 to 1 melee attack, and somewhere in the middle of those die rolls, like you roll a 3, you'd end up losing a strength point as an attacker. Well, these tables here have a little bit of that going on too. But once you start getting higher up the chart, it's you start getting damage like 3 step losses and retreat. And when you retreat in this game, it's 2 hexes. The unit has to retreat 2 hexes. Didn't have anybody go out of supply, because when you first determine that a unit is out of supply the first time, if he's in supply and then you determine the first time that he's out of supply, he gets an emergency supply marker put on him. Whereas the rules say they're just using up all their reserve supplies that they have. Then if they're still in that state, the next supply phase, then they go out of supply. So, and you can use your mobile units as general supply sources if during the supply phase, if you got a unit that can't trace back to, one of the hard-coded supply sources, but there's a supply vehicle in the area and they can trace to that, you can use that as a general supply. But the problem is you end up burning that supply MSU, or that's one point of the supply dump when you do that for every unit. Okay, so yeah, the front line over here was not really a fight. That was just pulled the Soviet Union back, just in case the Germans were to break through somewhere here and take off running. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting to play, like the whole campaign where you have down here you'll have or on the other maps you'll have all the rest of the Army Group South, what I think was like 11th Army, and a lot of your Romanian and Hungarian troops I think are down there, and then where the Italians would come in and all that stuff. To see how this would really turn out. Haven't read the rules on like when they would start. Maybe it's a couple turns into the fight before they actually kick off theirs. So yeah, you got to get these Panzers out and running. I imagine in the campaign game you would probably have the ability to air transport supplies to them. So I think every Barbarossa game I played, you've had that ability, or any East Front game I played, you've had that ability. So supply is tricky when it comes to attacking. I can't see how you would supply if you had multiple attacks going on a turn, how you could supply all of them. I could be wrong, but I didn't see it in this game, and I'd say about 25% of the attacks I had in this game, I didn't have attack supply, and that's a +2 die roll modifier to your attack right there. And when you're doing 2-to-1s and 3-to-1s, that's not very promising for them with that +2. And then of course you throw a unit in a town or a village or something that gives them another +1. Now all of a sudden you're sitting on +3. Use your Panzer division integrity bonuses. Use your combined arms bonuses when you attack. If you're taking on towns, cities, villages, strong points, fortress type stuff, use engineers to get a die roll modifier reduced. My air power, I never did use any of the German air power there for any kind of close air support. I constantly, because I never had them all at one time. I couldn't roll to get them all. You do a flown box to get them to the ready box. You got to roll for recovery, and that's like a 1 through 7. Anything above that, and then of course you have modifiers depending on the weather. Which yes, this game has weather. I used them non-stop to interdict the headquarters, the Soviet headquarters. They only had 4 or 5 anyhow to start. But I would interdict those headquarters to cut down on their, the big green number 1, the big green number 2 is their command value. That's one of the key things to that is they could not, if you interdicted a headquarters with a 1 command value, with a interdiction of 1, he had no command points available to initiate reaction movement by any mechanized division when they were on the defense to try to get into a battle to help the odds. And on the attack, no ability to assign artillery to an attack. So Germans, they don't have to worry about it. They don't have any headquarters. Their biggest worry is supply. So, all right, so that wraps this up. German victory, 8 victory points. I don't think it's classified whether it's marginal or major, decisive, or whatever. But I enjoyed the daylights out of this. I'm going to love this. I really want to play one of the big ones, but I got to wait till the big table's cleared off. So that's it for Barbarossa Army Group South. Like I say, it's fun. Another game that I definitely recommend for play. Not extremely tedious or slow. A number of things can happen at any time. And like I said, I think I want to get to some of the later variants, the later parts of the campaign when the Soviets are a little more built up, or they're starting to get more troops, and see how these breakthroughs can be contained, or if you can even do it. Which I'm sure there's going to be places where you can. But good representation of a World War II East Front game, I believe. My opinion. May not be for some others, but I think this is a fantastic game. And I just keep trying to picture playing all of them with all the maps hooked together somewhere in a warehouse floor trying to play this whole campaign. I mean, it'd probably be a blast, but man, what a mind-boggling thing this would be. So, yeah, definitely, if you put it all together, it's a monster game. To me, this had the feel of somewhere between a monster and just about a medium difficulty type playing of a game. Rules are not that hard. Just like any other game, you get a couple rules in there that you got to constantly keep looking at the rule book for. But for the majority, once you play a few turns of this, you're off and running. Don't let the sequence of play, like I said, I'll lay it down here. Don't when you get to playing this, don't let that sequence of play intimidate you, because this is one of those rare games where they put everything you should be doing during each sequence. Once you get used to what happens in a sequence, then you're only just going through the main outlines of it. And yes, it is front and back, but like I say, it's broken down to explain to you everything that needs to be done during a particular segment. But like I say, don't let that intimidate you. It's really not that tough. A lot of charts come with this game to cover terrain, to cover weather, to cover combat, to cover air combat, to cover anti-aircraft, your combined arms, your integrity stuff. But like I say, those are things that once you look at them once or twice, you don't necessarily have to have them in your hand all the time. Player cards, great idea to pick your scenarios. And I know there's there must be 7 or 8 of them in here. So, you just lay that player card out, get the units on there. And then you could actually, if you wanted to, if there were no special rules, you could just take them, put them on the turn record track, put your reinforcements there. Your victory point tracks and step law. Like I say, victory points in this game, they're tracked for the Germans. So it's up or down depending on, if the Soviets, their victory points are considered losses to the German victory point chart. So just one chart. Then your boxes to put flown units and cadres. When the units get eliminated here, they're not necessarily completely gone. They can be used as replacements, unless you suffer an eliminated result in combat. I can't remember if there's any other options, but if you suffer an eliminated result, the unit will go into the eliminated box, which you see on the German one. There's none in there. Nobody got eliminated there. But you see down here in the Soviets, quite a few of them in the eliminated box. All right. Great game. Had a blast playing this. We'll play some more of this stuff. Not sure what I'm going to get on this table next. I think it might be a Civil War game called Look Away. Was it Against the Odds, I believe. I'm debating that one because it looks interesting and I want to give it a whirl. Plus, nobody has covered that game, and I don't get it. We're going to find out why. All right, gang. Hey, don't forget to smack that bell on there. Subscribe, smack that bell, and so you can get reminders of all the playthroughs or reviews I'm doing. Hey, and if you enjoy this stuff, give it a like. All right, we'll be back soon with something else. Thanks for watching.